Sarah, I
Hello.
gotta say,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting last night to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Part 1 or part 2 or
I
both?
watched part one.
Okay.
I watched part one. If you're live, we're live, and
Hi,
welcome. This is
welcome.
Christmas horror edition on September 4th or whatever today is. Welcome to the stream. We're going to talk all about Christmas horror. Let us know your favorite Christmas horror movie in the comments while folks are starting to join in. Last night might have been my very first Christmas horror experience, which
Oh,
I'm so excited for this, but I really was thrown into the deep end with Silent Night, Deadly Night.
part
Do you
1.
remember when you watched that the first time?
It has to be more than 10 years ago now. And I want to say we were just watching a whole bunch of bad movies, and there was this movie critic who we liked who was also watching all these bad movies, and we wanted to kind of get in on it. And I had never experienced Christmas horror before, and I didn't really know it was a thing, but like just like some of these other genres we've talked about, like the Weird Wild West, once you dive in, there's actually a lot. There's a lot of holiday horror. There's Thanksgiving horror. There is, well, if you've ever seen the Leprechaun movies, I don't know if that counts as St. Patrick's Day horror.
I have seen one of the Leprechaun movies. And Gremlins.
Okay. Yes.
Is
So,
the
and
original Gremlins holiday, or is there like a special Gremlin holiday edition?
I don't think so. I know in the first Gremlins movie, he has like the snowplow that he drives, and I think it's set around Christmas time. So I think it's just one of those movies that's like you can watch it, in July, or you can also watch it at Christmas, and it's appropriate for all occasions. So
Perfect.
oh,
Well, welcome everyone.
welcome.
We've got two people on the stream, and I think should we dive into this presentation, you think, Sarah?
I think so. Let me go ahead and there we go. Hi. Okay. I just had to make sure that I had my live stream up here. We are good, and you can still hear me.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, good. Perfect. Good. Okay. I want to make sure there's no technical snafus. Yeah, if you're here, if you are joining us today, say hi in the chat if you're comfortable doing that. We would love to say hi to you and to get your take on this very esoteric genre. So,
this esoteric but especially wonderful genre of Christmas horror. For your delight and pleasure today, Sarah and I have put together this brief introduction to this fun genre, as well as a place to submit a story. The goal here by the end of this stream is to have learned what Christmas horror is, to have a story idea for a short piece of flash fiction or a short story, and an opportunity to send that story out. That's the goal here by the end of the stream. I'm excited. The submission opportunity that I found, it accepts stories as short as 500 words. So I personally, Sarah, am definitely giving myself the challenge to reach the end of the story before we finish the stream today.
I think I will too. I think that's a good challenge. I think it's doable.
All right, everybody. What is Christmas horror? Well, this is the short definition. It's Christmas and horror. And so in terms of Christmas, this can really be defined in the largest. In each of these cases, both for Christmas and horror, I think the easiest way to get inspired is to think in the broadest terms possible of both these two things. Christmas in its largest sense, the Christian traditional holiday, the sort of event, the spectacle of Christmas as a global phenomenon. And then, of course, its pagan roots, early, think like German Christmas in the woods, fairy tale type situation. This is the breadth of material available to us when thinking about Christmas. And horror, you wouldn't be in this video if you didn't know what horror was. So that's
or maybe you're new to horror.
Yeah. Actually, this is a fun thought. Actually, what is horror? One thing that is a cool thought that Tananarive do the Afrofuturist horror writer says when she talks about horror, is that like a horror story, it's not necessarily what it's about the feeling that it gives. That's what makes a horror story a horror story. So it doesn't have to have monsters. It doesn't have to have jump scares. It's about a feeling. So that is kind of a cool thought.
I like that. And that ties in really well with something else that we're going to be talking about in a few minutes. So that's really exciting.
Moving forward. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So
Okay.
So yesterday, so Sarah and I are friends and we're YouTube friends, and we spend a lot of our friendship on YouTube together reading short stories. And yesterday we read a short story from this collection, The Dark Descent. It is an anthology of horror short stories, and somehow, some way, this movie came up. I guess we had been talking about doing this. And so just, I don't know, Sarah was like, yeah, go watch Silent Night, Deadly Night. And someone in the comments was like, instant classic, go see it. So, my kid was with a friend last night. He's 5,
good. I thought you said I thought your kid watched. I was like, no.
No, he didn't. So
okay.
I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can watch a horror movie, picked up some Thai food, came home, put on this, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I was not prepared. And Sarah and I were texting.
You told me that no your expectation. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, my expectation wasn't, I think it was the kids stuff, the this abusive situation that this poor young boy found himself in that took me aback. But I do think that this is an instructive work for us when talking about this genre. Like, why do you think so, Sarah? Like, what is Christmas horror if we had Silent Deadly Night as our sole example?
Yeah. So basically it's not only the time of year, which is Christmas time, but it's also this idea. So our main character, I don't remember if it's Billy or if his name is something else, but he grows up with these very strict nuns, and they're obsessed with being naughty and being nice. And those of you, if you grew up celebrating Christmas, or if you still do, you know that there's also sort of we've been talking about religious horror, so maybe this ties into that as well, but especially around Christmas, if you're naughty, you're not going to get any presents, you're going to get coal in your stocking. If you're nice, if you're a good kid, then Santa will come and give you presents. And so that's a second one of the sort of elements here that makes this a Christmas horror classic. It's horrifying because of the things that happen. If you can see in the middle there is a movie poster of Santa holding a bloodied axe, which is actually, I think that was the reason that when this film was released in 1984, it was sort of chased out of theaters by angry moms who were like, you will not corrupt Santa for my children. And so there's this whole history then of how Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1, quote unquote, was released as Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. We won't go into that exactly right now. But yeah, there's the feeling too. And it's especially interesting, I think, around Christmas horror. I know a lot of folks around the holiday season, at least here in North America, turn on the Hallmark Channel to watch fulfilling, happy, cozy, hot chocolate doused movies about romance. And this is in the tradition of what Tananarive said about horror. This makes you feel the opposite of those Hallmark holiday movies. So it takes the expectation of a cozy, charming Christmas, and it makes you scared of everything. So
yeah,
yes.
I think that is at the heart of this subgenre, is that the sort of base palette of paints that you're painting with are sentimental, nostalgic, warm, joyful. Like if you go to the paint store and say, I need everything I need for a Christmas movie or a Christmas story, you're going to get certain colors.
And maybe some glitter.
Exactly. And so Christmas horror is cool because you're already starting with a really high level of juxtaposition, and like the built-in difference between the base palette of warmth, glow, joy, nostalgia, family, and terror is already high. So it's a a lot of work I think has already been done for you.
Yes, that's such a good point. Like it uses that starting expectation and then just drops you like the roller coaster even has a further uh height to drop you from. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
And a lot of like stories are already made. You know, you can take a Christmas
Yes.
story that, you know, these Hallmark movies, the same ones get made every year. So you can take a template and make it a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much built-in lore that you really have no shortage of things to work with. So it's exciting in that
Laura
way.
Huntress, welcome back to the stream, all. Hi, Laura. Hi, all. Please check out Krampus
Krampus is a
2015 and
classic.
Silent Night, David Harbour 2022 as well. There are so many awesome Christmas horror movies. Yes, I can't wait to. I just, yeah, I feel like, you know, my partner had a friend in LA who did a 24-hour Kung Fu marathon at their house.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
that was a scene, you know, you could just like roll up at 4 and just Jackie Chan would be going hard. I think there's potential for doing the same with a Christmas horror movie marathon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And yeah, David Harbour, that movie surprised me by coming out when it did. He being fresh off of Stranger Things. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. I would encourage if you would like to dive into these horror movies, do be warned, a lot of them are B movies, a lot of them are low budget, and a lot of them you might want to look up some content warnings or trigger warnings before you watch them.
Big time. Big
Yeah.
time. All right. What else we got for y'all? Okay, this is the plot of Silent Night, Deadly Night. I don't know if we need to go through this per se. I think it's worth saying though that just getting briefly back to, well, let's like look at this really quickly here.
Okay, because some of this I did forget. I was like scanning it as you
Mm-hmm.
showed it here.
I'll read this. I'll read this so
Yeah.
people
Okay.
can imagine the screenplay in your mind of
Takashi says, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. What does Takashi say?
Takashi says it reminds me a lot of Italian Giallo movies. It's very much the same spirit, but there's no killers in black gloves. At least not in this one. Okay. I did not mean to interrupt. Sorry. I
No,
got
it's
really
okay.
excited.
So yeah, so if you're listening, or if you just need something to sate your imagination in terms of what we're talking about in Christmas horror, here's an example. This is the plot summary by Claudio Carvalho of Rio on the IMDb website of Silent Night, Deadly Night. In 1971, on the Christmas Eve, a family heads to a nursing home to visit the catatonic grandfather of the 5-year-old Billy and the baby Ricky. While his parents go with the baby to discuss the treatment with the doctor in the office, Billy is left alone with Grandpa. Out of the blue, he awakens and tells Billy to be afraid of Santa Claus, since he punishes those who are naughty. While driving back home, a killer posing as Santa Claus lures Billy's father, pulls out of the car, and Billy witnesses the killing of both his parents. A few years later, Billy and his brother are raised in an orphanage run by the tyrannical Mother Superior, who believes punishment is the best way to educate children. Sister Margaret feels that Billy needs psychological support. It doesn't go well from there.
No.
He does not get, I'm going to fast forward to the end of that description. He does not get that psychological support. He goes on a killing spree. The movie becomes a slasher. So yes, I think that this is a useful plot description for us in that just sort of, again, broad strokes, Christmas horror. It's a slasher. Effectively, this movie is a slasher set at Christmas time where the murderer is in a Santa suit. Mm-hmm. You know, this is pretty straightforward. Okay, what else do we have here? So Sarah, talk us through some of the things here. I'm going to put this back up the stage.
Yeah, totally.
Talk us through just kind of like, again, what's the point of this genre? These are some of the points. Can you talk us through some of this?
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about traditions, and I like that you're pointing out the perverse and the supposedly joyful or sublime. It really turns things on its head. Religion, family, childhood, toys. Oh, there's so many movies about killer toys too. And that could probably even be its own niche, but it does tie in well with the holiday horror theme. Religion, we've also talked about a little bit, and how a lot of that can be sublimated's not the right word, but it can be sort of absorbed into a horror story quite easily, especially because people have a lot of trauma associated with religion and the holidays, and horror can call both of those out. Let's see it. So the third bullet point here, Asa asked, is this cozy horror, Sarah? And I said, no, lol. And I said that because what this genre is doing is it takes your expectation of something cozy, and I'm going to keep using the word here because I think it's perfect. It sort of perverts it and turns it on its head. For me, cozy horror is something that has elements that it's got some kind of scary or gross elements, but ultimately you feel a sense of safety, like you feel comfortable watching it. Whereas you will feel extremely uncomfortable watching Silent Night, Deadly Night parts 1 and 2 or the Krampus movies. So not exactly cozy horror, but I kind of want to talk more about that as we continue on. We talked a little bit of a, oh, do you didn't?
No, go ahead. Me
Okay.
too.
We talked a little about the ready-made plots and settings, and I think Asa has set us up nicely with some writing prompts in a Mad Lib style, which really sort of highlights a lot of the tropes and a lot of the expectations for this genre. Yes, Christmas monsters, who is Krampus, Yule Cat. I don't know if I know Yule Cat.
Well, I didn't either until making this presentation. There's a cat in Iceland called the Yule Cat, and it will come for you. I think the Yule Cat here is a stand-in for myriad creatures, beasts, fairies, phantoms, lore of all sorts across all times, and traditions connected to Christmas-esque holidays of
Yes.
bad guys and boogies of the various varieties.
I love it.
Point is that if you are looking for a monster that you don't know about, or that you want the world to know about, or you want to build a mythology, this is kind of a cool genre to invent a creature, I think, because you can kind of just grab some kind of little known Slovakian like Christmas tale and just twist it, magnify it, and take it to Hollywood if you want.
Yeah. It's a very
Camp.
strange and open genre.
Oh my gosh, camp. So are we going to have our Sontag moment? Is this the Sontag
Yes.
moment time?
This is the
All right,
Sontag,
everybody. Just
Sontag
expectation setting for this stream. Upcoming, we're going to talk about a submission opportunity. We're going to do an insane Mad Lib game where we brainstorm ideas for a Christmas horror short story, and then we're going to write one. But before that, we're getting to what might be my favorite part of this presentation in advance, which is the discussion of the concept of camp and how it applies to Christmas horror, and what Our Lady Susan Sontag. I'm trying to think of a good and the esteem the sainted, I don't know, Susan Sontag, the philosopher, writer, thinker, has thoughts about camp, and Sarah read them, so she's going to tell us a little bit about what Susan Sontag has to say about camp and how camp applies to what we're talking about in Christmas horror.
I'm very excited because up until this moment, I had been a big fan of things that were camp or campy without knowing the exact definition. And Susan Sontag, bless her heart, takes 10 pages, which I took notes on and will not read all of it to you, or even most of it. But when you think of camp, a lot of people think of the 1960s Batman with his shark repellent, or you might think of Xena Warrior Princess, or you might think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You might think of a certain musical you've seen. And basically, Susan Sontag says that camp really isn't an idea. It's not something as solid as an idea that can be defined. It's more of a feeling. It's more a matter of taste. And so she has some criteria that she goes through, over 50 points, again, which I will not read to you. There's also an association. Well, before I get into that, basically, if something is camp, it is made in innocence. It is made with earnestness. It is not made to make fun of anything. It is made to show passion. It is made to... it's supposed to be life imitating art a little bit more closely than it does. And Susan Sontag says that an essential element of camp is seriousness, but it's a seriousness that fails. And often camp things are things that are trying a little too hard to be awesome. It's maybe made by an amateur who doesn't understand how to translate complex emotional experiences into art. She says it's often exaggerated, fantastic, passionate, but most of all, it's naive. It's not anything that's made. And I feel like if you've been out in the pop culture sphere, you've seen movies that are so bad they're good, and you've seen camp, and you can tell when the author or the director is trying to make something that's campy and when they actually make something that's campy. Um, a feeling that people often get with campy things is that they feel off. She gives this huge list of examples of things that this was published in 1964. So I was not familiar with a lot of the actors and writers on this list, but it's basically things that imitate art, or things that imitate nature, things that imitate things that we're used to, and they're not believable. And it was really interesting in reading through this because camp has a very strong tie to queer culture. And a lot of that is due to um, not only queer culture, like really embracing camp, but because of so many similarities of, oh, I'm creating something, it doesn't really belong in society. I'm going to embrace it even more. It's my ugly duckling. So there's a lot of interesting things here about cultural rejection and the queer community that has made these two things go hand in hand. Susan Sontag talks a little bit about that near the end of her extremely long essay here, but she also sort of and I don't know like how politically correct she's being, but she says, hey, the queer community is often flamboyant and outrageous, and these are all things that we love about camp. Some things that she considers camp.
And so where does all this intersect with because all this resonates? Why? Yeah. And then why do we see camp so prevalently in the horror space? And honestly, even within the horror space, I think within Christmas horror, camp is even privileged further and given more airtime, as it were.
Yeah.
From her analysis of camp and your emerging understanding of it, imbued by all of Sontag's genius, what is the relationship between camp and Christmas horror?
I think that there's a few things. I think it mainly lies in horror being mainstream, or horror being, at least until recently, not very mainstream. Horror has always been like a niche underground. If you go to a horror bookstore, there's not going to be a person in a crisp linen shirt selling you books. It's going to be somebody with like a lot of piercings, and they maybe look a little countercultural. So camp has always been countercultural. It is always something that has failed in the eyes of the masses. So Xena Warrior Princess, a lot of people, I mean, Lucy Lawless is awesome, but it's also a little campy. It's a little embarrassing to watch because they tried really hard and they didn't have the budget to make it, or they didn't have the writing prowess that would have made this epic story truly epic. And it falls a little bit flat and it gets a little bit silly, but we love it for it. And so I think there's a huge crossover there because a lot of horror does tend to be not only outside of the mainstream, but it also tends to be a little bit lower budget. It tends to feel a little bit more homemade. I know that a lot of indie creators just directly go for the horror genre. But this is also prevalent in other genres too. I talked a little bit earlier about the 1960s Batman and how, it takes itself so seriously, but he has those squiggly drawn on eyebrows, and he has shark repellent, and he has a big cartoony bomb. And it's like, I love you, but I can't take you seriously, but also I still love you. So it's like this delicate balancing act that's really centered in cultural taste. And she actually talks about how as properties, so movies, books, pieces of music, operas, she especially hates musicals. As these things age, as they become old-fashioned and out of date, it's this process of aging or deterioration that provides us the necessary detachment so that we can kind of view it from a little bit more of a distance, and then it will appear to be more campy because to us, oh, it's outdated. This, even if you look back at like Gilligan's Island or something, things that were considered like, I don't know, fun in their time. It's a little hard to take them seriously because we know modern audiences like, oh, that's a set. And what is the believability and where does that come from? So she also does say that camp needs to be, in order for it to be real camp, it needs to be actually enjoyed and appreciated and not mocked or judged. So
Okay. It's fun.
which is interesting because I feel like she spends a lot of this article mocking and judging, especially Oscar Wilde, who she considers like some of the worst camp, which is hilarious because, we study him in college now as like a literary author. And, Oscar Wilde, it's also interesting. He wrote something called The Importance of Being Earnest, which is a big factor in things that are camp.
Right.
Yes, Takashi says it also has to do with the absurdism of it all. Yes, there are so many. It's ridiculous. It's flamboyant. It is. I wrote down this huge list of the exaggerated, the off, things being what they are not. She talks a lot about these Art Nouveau lamps that are supposed to look like flowers. So then you have these glowing flowers in your house, but they're so artificial. They're actually like kitschy. And so they are campy at that point. And if you are in a culture that loves and appreciates that, then that's great. Like that's your aesthetic. It's such a taste aesthetic, visual sort of thing. Is this making sense?
This is making a lot of sense. I do want to move on so that we get to the Christmas horror writing that I'm so primed for. But I think it makes a ton of sense. Yes,
Can I tell you one more thing?
Yes.
Okay. Things on her camp list are Tiffany Lamps, Swan Lake, all Bellini operas, the Brown Derby restaurant on Sunset Boulevard in LA, Charles de Gaulle, Titus Andronicus, everything by Henry James, most pieces by Mozart, things that are not camp, Jesus, which just stuck out to me. I mean, especially because she's a Jewish author. But it was just her. And again, it's a matter of taste, right? It's a matter of taste.
That's amazing. Wow.
And Susan. Oscar Wilde. Yeah. So
Susan. Next week, Susan will be with us, folks.
Yes.
Jimmy says,
I like Jimmy's. Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, it's all fun. What's wrong with fun? Why does modern art have to be so cynically detached or flat out nihilistic? It doesn't.
Exactly. It doesn't.
It definitely doesn't, y'all. Because tonight we are going someplace deeper and darker and definitely fun. This week's submission opportunity. This has to be the most campy argument for someone who's arguing camp. That's a good point.
I know, right? Well, and there's also a difference between camp and cringe, which I won't go into now, but she manages to be both somehow. So,
Susan.
Susan. I mean, and I love her. I'm a big fan. I got Regarding the Pain of Others off the shelf.
I love Susan Sontag, for sure.
Just to compare, but also not all hot takes are takes I agree with. So
I appreciate that. Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to read that. Y'all, keep this in the back of your head as we move forward here. The submission opportunity for you this week. You've got 2 months to write it. This is 500 to 2,000 words. This is for a Yuletide horror anthology. This is a paid opportunity. I've not fully vetted Death by TBR Books. Are their contracts good? I don't know. So, this cropped up on the various listservs I'm on, so take it with a grain of salt. It does seem exciting. And again, we're about to get into a little bit of like a brainstorming moment here to come up with concrete ideas to write some fun stories. But their submission wish list includes holiday horror themed slashers, zombies, psychological horror, suburbia setting, pink horror, folk horror with a fresh take on Krampus, and horror taking place in the 90s and 2000s. Y'all, thankfully, we had that great primer on camp. Kudos to Sarah, because that seems in line here. Don't you think, Sarah?
It does. It's just, and again, to Jimmy's point, There's nothing here that we would demonize about camp, about Christmas horror. It's just fun. Yeah, I put in the comments, just fun is good. And people who are too serious, a little too serious about art can, very easily look down upon. I've never heard of anyone who considers Mozart or Titus Andronicus campy. So
Yeah, that's full on. That's like
yeah,
that.
hot take.
Yeah. All right,
But
y'all.
yes.
I'm very proud of this little Mad Lib game that I spent the morning coming up with.
It's so good.
It's very dorky and very fun, and I hope you all play. I'm going to use this myself, actually.
I am too.
To help write. So, if you need inspiration or you want to try this fun exercise, what we're about to do here is a Mad Lib situation where I've created lists of different types of characters that appear in Horror Christmas, different types of settings, different types of goals. And by putting forth 5 numbers, you have a nice little log line for a potential horror story that we can write here. So yes, so everybody,
okay,
with a pen and pencil, if you would, just write down any 5 numbers.
I'm going to do it, and I'm going to stick with it.
Okay, you're going to stick with it?
I'm a little nervous. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and we'll use yours as the case study.
Oh boy. Okay.
You got them? All right, everybody, you got your
numbers?
Can
you see? There we go.
Oh wow. Okay, it's set in stone. 4, 3, 1, 2, 5.
Set in stone. So no going backsies for Sarah.
No, okay. All right. Let's see what that takes us. All right. So.
Oh no.
We have.
Oh no.
Why don't you read us what this led to, Sarah?
Okay, so for me, Asa put together, actually, this is amazing, and I'm excited to actually even use it in the future if I return to the genre. There's an adjective, character, setting, goal, and obstacle. Each number corresponds with one. So for me, for example, I started with 4. So that is an unhinged, number 3, elf, number 1, at an abandoned Christmas tree farm, who finally kills Santa. That's their goal. And time stops. Delaying Christmas. So I've got a lot to work with.
Okay, that is good. Okay, yeah, no, there's like a little way that these work together. Takashi has a naughty mall Santa.
Oh boy.
In an abandoned Christmas tree farm who's trying to possess a reindeer, but in-laws.
Good luck. Good luck,
Good
Takashi.
luck on that one. I love that. Jimmy, Christmas ghost stories is a long-standing tradition in England, for example, Dickens, but also M.R. James. Funny you mentioned that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I guess you missed, Jimmy, our horror story club. Every Thursday, y'all, if you're a horror reader, we are working our way through this collection where we read ghost stories like the one by M.R. James.
The Ash Tree, I believe we read.
We did. So let's go to the next slide here and see how we do this. All right, so this is your methods. Okay. This is the most important slide of the day, folks, right here.
Okay.
Everything you need. So, Sarah, do you want to plug yours into that little example there?
Yeah. So let's see. So we're going to start with an unhinged elf, right? Okay. Reaches a abandoned Christmas tree farm to seek out their goal, which is to finally kill Santa. And I love the finally because it indicates that this is like an ongoing grudge, despite the obstacle in their way, which in this case is time stopping, thus delaying Christmas. So I'm actually thinking that the goal is going to cause the obstacle in my particular case here. There's going to be something, you killed Santa and time has stopped and everything is horrible. So we'll see. Yeah, nice. We'll see how these all work together. But
for the sake of the exercise, I'm going to read Takashi's just to see how this sounds. Okay, so a naughty mall Santa reaches an abandoned Christmas tree farm where they tried to possess a reindeer, but in-laws.
But in-laws. I like that, just but in-laws. It's not but the in-laws come to visit, or it's just because in-laws.
Because in-laws. Jimmy, by the way, I hope you don't mind me giving you a hard time there about the story club. This is a very great point, everyone. Christmas
Yes.
stories is a long-standing tradition in England. Dickens and M.R. James.
Yeah.
I just got self-conscious. Jimmy, I thank you. I
Oh, you're
appreciate you.
good. And you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, I said to Jimmy's point, I said that my introduction to holiday horror was Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1. That's not true. I have seen Muppet Christmas Carol, which does, again, to Jimmy's point, it's a Christmas story that has ghosts in it, rattling chains. It's deeply horrifying if you watch it again, which I did, and I was like, wow, how did I watch this as a child? So
True.
totally
That is
get
kind
it.
of that is like the gateway drug, as it were,
Yeah,
for a lot of folks
Muppet
to
Christmas
Christmas
Carol.
horror. Yeah.
Yep, it's so good.
All right. So if you have your little log line in front of
Okay.
you, obviously, hopefully it goes without saying, this is just a tool, something to get the wheels turning, the juices flowing, ideas brimming, finding each other in your consciousness. One little nugget here, one little trick is that I wrote here. Write your sentence. Imagine that story. See that story in your mind's eye. Imagine your grandma reading or watching that story. And maybe y'all have horror-loving grandmas, but if you don't, change one element that would make her turn it off and scold you, you naughty writer child. So yes, before drafting, just an opportunity now in this kind of pre-writing moment, is there an opportunity to adjust that log line in front of you, make it a little more deranged, a little more twisted, do a little bit more of that lifting before jumping in? And of course, if you already have a ready-made story outside of all of this, pursue that. But this is the prompt. Yeah. Sarah,
I'm excited.
how are you feeling about this prompt here?
I'm feeling good about it. And you know, there's part of me that like has a knee-jerk reaction to, because I do take horror really seriously. And the idea that this could also be fun and even campy, and that I'm actually even more appreciative of camp now that I've read Sontag's piece. I'm gonna write some camp. And in order to do that, I am gonna take it seriously. I am gonna like just put my heart into it and maybe fail, and that will make it even more campy. So it's really a win-win.
So to pursue that here, like if you're the next hour or whatever, you're going to write a campy horror Christmas story. The experience of reading that, will that be scary? Or how would you describe it? How would you describe your desired reading experience, I suppose?
Ooh. Oh boy. I think what I'm going to go for, and this may be really common too, is a horror comedy.
Right.
Horror and comedy, if you look at how things are written, they are two sides of the same coin. They both rely heavily on timing and flipping the unexpected. So yeah.
Okay. Sweet. All right. Well, just a few more great comments coming in. Jimmy says, James wrote most of his stories so he could read them out loud over Christmas break at the college where he taught to students in a big common room. That sounds
so cozy.
So cozy.
That's
Takashi
cozy horror.
says, take it seriously in the bad prompt. Yes, if you like look this prompt in the eye and pursue it word for word, that will be interesting. I agree. I want to cringe and laugh at the same time with the story. I'm going to leave that comment up for a little while for the rest of us. Modified seed, Christmas elves pursue those on the naughty list by capturing their souls in a snow globe, which they take back to the North Pole as trophies.
You should totally write that. Jimmy. That's awesome.
So,
Gremlins meets Predator.
I love that.
Two of my favorite pieces of what I will happily call camp. I don't know. I'm still a little bit upset at Susan on this one, but I'll let it go in time.
Well, I have us some Pomodoro action. Should we switch over to that?
Yeah.
All right. Then that is what I'm going to do, everybody. And just a second.
There's a lot going on here behind the scenes, everyone. Asa is working some magic. Oh, perfect. Oh, it's a fireplace.
It's a fireplace. Yeah.
How cozy.
Yeah. All right. So happy writing, everyone. And once we get back, we will share some first sentences to any of those who feel like sharing. We will riff. We will talk about your 25 minutes into camp, and we'll just see how everybody's doing. If you're joining the stream right now, we are writing Christmas horror. You can scroll back in this stream for inspiration, for ideas, for an introduction to this genre. And what we're doing now is writing towards a submission opportunity. So at least 500 words. That's all you need this week. All right. Happy writing,
All right.
everybody.
Happy writing.
How's everybody doing?
Good. I couldn't find where I put my mic. So I have it now. We're good. Hopefully you can hear me. Good. How is it going? Did you do your own Mad Lib or are you just going for it?
Okay. Okay. So I went through, there was like the 60 seconds of like filling that had to happen. You know, that's a phenomenon for me on these live streams. It's like we're
Oh,
here,
yeah.
we're talking, we're jamming, we're running StreamYard, and then it's like, okay, I gotta lock in, gotta slow, get into some kind of zone. So I would say the first minute or so is certainly doing that. I didn't do the Mad Lib, largely only because I didn't have it in front of me actually, and I was so busy presenting it that I didn't have it.
Yeah.
So I just started brainstorming. That was my first thing. I started brainstorming Christmassy things that might be underexplored. I was trying to think of unique characters, like the Amazon delivery person
Ooh.
who has all these boxes of packages. Just trying to investigate almost like new figures in the Christmas tradition, like ultra
Yeah.
contemporary. I mean, we've had the sort of Amazon delivery person for 20 years now or whatever, but kind of like who are people engaged, literally employed in the apparatus of Christmas today? And is there a story there? So I started there, but then my imagination kind of alighted on The Witch, the short story by Shirley Jackson,
Oh,
which
yeah.
appeared, there's a short story writer, famous Shirley Jackson. She wrote The Lottery, which you might have read in high school. She also read a short story called The Witch. And can you still hear me, Sarah?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw you just saying. Anyway.
Oh, I'm just like here for it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no,
how
I
are you
mean,
translating this?
well, the most important point, I think the point that I can share that's relevant to everyone who hasn't necessarily read The Witch, is that so many short stories, particularly short stories, this particular submission, we have 500 to 2,000 words. It's almost like you really can't even get small enough in terms. It's like, so I really put on my playwriting hat or screen, like a scene. This is a scene. This is a moment. And what is a moment? And that got me to Santa and a kid like going up to sit on Santa's lap, the iconic, and telling them what they want for Christmas. This iconic scene that's been investigated 1,000 times is now the source of so much trauma. It's probably not even done anymore. It's just, and so it was like, okay, that's going to be my moment. I'm going to write a story with this moment, and the next place my brain went to was like, okay, what if we invert it and the kid is the villain? The kid's the villain, right?
I
Right.
love a kid villain.
So then I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm imagining a kid like stabbing Santa or something, and then I had this whole, but then my brain went back to The Witch, thinking the way that story works, and I was like, okay, we need like an external vector, and so I started thinking about whether there's an angel, but then I kind of rejected that path, came back around to just the kid and Santa, and I think I've landed on my premise, which is that the child is the child of the child's mother is in an affair with the man who's Santa. And this is this kid's opportunity to confront this adult. And the adult doesn't know that the kid knows.
Oh my
And so,
gosh.
just straight away, this kid can be like, I know what you're doing with mama and I don't like it. So I feel like I have a setup, that earns us our attention, earns us the Santa man is stuck. Like the kid can just like give away his secret right there and then in front of the whole mall. And then it's just going to have to get dark and weird. I don't know what's going to happen yet, but that's what my 25 minutes was.
Perfect. Yeah, I appreciate you walking us through your process. I think for me, that's helpful too. It took me a minute and maybe a little bit more than a minute, maybe 3 or 4 minutes to like really get my brain in the mode of writing Christmas and horror together. Like I knew that this topic was coming up. I didn't prepare anything for it because I like to just jump in the moment we start. And it took me a while. And I'm like, how do I get into this mindset? And so it took me kind of similar to you. I handwrite, and so it took me about 3 or 4 attempts before I finally got a storyline that I liked. So, let's see.
And yeah, like what was your way in to a storyline that you liked?
Yeah, I'm staying with my word, and I'm going with the
Oh, right.
43125 Mad Lib that we came out with about the elf and the abandoned tree farm and trying to kill Santa. But um, for me, really, what made a difference was understanding who the narrator was, like understanding like where is the story coming from, who's telling the story, why are they telling it, what's the point of view, who is our protagonist. That was really my way in. I tend to write, and this is just my own personal preference, this is not right or wrong. I tend to write from a character first point of view, and so for me to have characters, it really helped get going. So I think the unhinged elf, is going to be more of a threat in the darkness, so to speak.
Ooh, I like
So
that.
yeah.
A shimmer in the night.
Yes.
Takashi is weighing in. Interesting. Brainstorming session. Still brainstorming and writing at the same time. Good. Takashi says, well, Asa, you can use the Mexican Christmas tradition like posadas. Definitely. I wish I could just hand the mic to you, Takashi. Pero si están en Mexico, yes. If you're in Mexico, there are a zillion excellent, amazing, special, unique, additional Christmas traditions than those I certainly experienced growing up in the United States. Not to say posadas are not also celebrated in the United States, but they are ubiquitous here. These are Christmas parties, and they have all kinds of wild, specific traditions and songs, and like it's cool.
Oh,
It's cool. There's pinatas, the whole 9 yards.
that's amazing. I
Yeah,
had no idea.
yeah, yeah. They reenact the like I said, Takashi. I wish I could give you the mic here. They reenact like when the people come to the inn looking for a place to stay, and so it's like there's all these songs that are song versions of that request, and then there's kind of like a call and response where you say no, you can't
Oh,
come in, and then finally you come in. It's good. It's good. It's a good time.
that
Yeah.
gave me another idea for a horror story of like
That
who
there,
can't
yeah,
come in.
Takashi. That I feel like there's definitely a horror story written about that
Yeah.
specific thing. Anyone else want to care to share what how their first little push went there?
Yeah. And if not, if you are shy, if you're not feeling it right now,
Totally fine. Yeah.
that's also
Um,
fine. But we would love to hear where your Christmas horror is going.
what Sarah, what's your plan here for the next writing session?
So we're doing 2 total or 3 total?
Well, I mean, I could do 3 total probably because I feel like I haven't even started, but I also we could just do one more. So, we're just hanging out, whatever is comfortable
Okay.
for you. Do
Oh,
you want to
it's
just do
kind
one
of
more or do you want to do 2 more?
up to you. Let's do one
I
more. Let's do
One
one
more? Let's do
more.
one
Let's
more.
do one
Okay.
more.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's
Executive
your
decision.
love it. What's your goal for the next 25 minutes?
Goal for the next 25 minutes is to really attempt to fill out and finish a story in the next 25 minutes. It might not be 500 words, but I just really want to get the frame of the house in place, so to speak.
Amazing. Amazing.
Oh my gosh, Takashi. Yes.
Takashi. Yes, my character is Rudolph incarnated. He tries to possess the he tries to possess the body of another reindeer.
I love that.
That's twisted and
I love
great.
that.
I do too.
You guys,
Let's
I would never have done this if it weren't for this ride along today. So I'm just excited for this opportunity, really.
I feel the same. All right, everybody. I'm going to put it back on for another 25 minutes. Good
All
luck.
right.
Happy writing.
All right. Did that go really fast to you?
Yeah, that was great. It did,
Oh
but it's also
man.
not very long.
That's
25
true.
minutes.
That's true. That's true. I'm so used to I write in the mornings. I'm so used to like sitting down and like going for like 2 hours at least. That like 25 minutes is alarming.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I know it's a really common duration that people really like. I tend to do like 50 minutes. Well, actually,
Yeah.
when I'm really working, I do 90 minutes. If I have like a project, I like do 90 minutes and then I take a break and I do
Mhm.
50 minutes and then I take a break and then I do 50 minutes and then I'm kind of tapped out.
Yeah, I'm very, very much the same way, and I don't know if that's a creative writing thing, if that's where that comes from, but I'm very much the same.
Where are you at
But
with your
yeah.
story?
Okay, so I am at 374 words.
Did you
So
count those by hand?
I did.
Are you serious? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I did.
Wow. Wow.
So I have like little
Okay.
numbers like in the margins here, like, oh, 22. Like, so I made little notations as I went through of
Amazing.
how many words I had. But yeah. How about
And how's it
you?
like how's
Oh,
it feeling? Do you feel I think you used the word spine. Do you feel like
mm.
you have it?
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because I know I intended to set out writing like a horror comedy, and this is just gonna be a horror. This is just straight horror. So we'll see. We'll see how
Amazing.
now authorial intent doesn't always match up with audience reception.
Yes,
So
maybe we'll just all be laughing, Sarah, and
yeah,
you'll just be like, it's scary, everyone.
I'll be like, take it
Be
serious. Take
scared.
me seriously. Take it seriously. Yeah.
Right.
I will have created camp.
Yes, you'll be written the Sontag of the next generation will be analyzing your serious
Ah,
but failed horror story.
me and Mozart, man.
Yeah.
What a failure.
How about everybody else? How did everybody else do just then? I made progress,
Do tell.
rereading.
Yeah.
Well, so during the last session, like I said, I went back and checked out that Shirley Jackson story, The Witch, which was useful from kind of that structural instinct of, snapshot, but also
Mm.
useful from kind of her prose is such a specific style and it's so tight and action forward. I feel like every sentence is showing us something that happened. It's really,
Yeah.
I don't know what the right adjective would be to describe that kind of prose. There's no wasted words. Everything, she's usually just like giving you images of things that are happening. And so it's kind of like this pure story in a way. So that feels like the right way to tell this particular story that I'm working on about this kid on the lap. And now it's like a question of just like where we start and where does the backstory come in terms of how this kid recognized this man, how they feel about it. And then the ultimate question I need to answer is the ending. What's the climax? Does she murder Santa? Does she expose him in front of everyone who's there at the mall? And I was trying to go down this thought experiment of kind of like what's the most horrifying thing, and I think I was like, okay, well, you just have to actually write it, I think, and then
Mm.
maybe you'll figure out. But anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
I love it. I love it. With things like that, with figuring out next steps, I mean, do you tend to write your way to it? Or in this case, like since you're looking at structure right now, would you want to like plan it out and then write it?
I think with this one, I just got to write it. I think go through this exercise again and just set aside more time and just kind of just be like, okay, you can't get up until you finish the story, and then try to get into a place where I'm down an incline and can just like take the sled, as it were, to the bottom of the
Yeah.
hill.
Yeah.
And I think because it's all there, I have like kind of the perspective of the main character, her driving character, just like there's some kind of sense of her mother is sleeping with this man and she has feelings about it. It's all kind of there. The scene is there.
Hmm.
I can see the movie. The short film is like we're here in the mall and there's a line of kids. I realized that she's like a little bit older. I have a sense about how she's too old to be visiting Santa, but not so old that anyone's going to stop her.
Ooh, that's choice. Like that's really good. Yeah.
A real position of power,
Yeah.
you know. So I think I just got to like just actually follow through, which is
Mm.
why these live streams are, that's like the whole other side of the writing practice. It's like okay, now it's on me, to actually do it. What does that look like? And
Yeah.
submission and all that,
Yeah, absolutely.
If this is your first time with Sarah and I, a few little
Welcome.
notes. On Wednesdays, we read science fiction short stories. There's a weekly discussion. On Thursdays, we read horror short stories. There's weekly discussion. And on Fridays, we write. We've got a Discord going where people are hanging out. And so if this was a enjoyable afternoon for you, subscribe to our YouTube channels, come back. And I'm going to put the link to the Discord in. I'm sure Sarah will do the same here.
I will.
But yeah.
Thank you for the reminder.
Lightly, we've called this project, the speculative fiction circle, which is to read really good speculative fiction like horror Christmas material, to write it and to submit it. That is the circle that we have really started getting in the habit of. Takashi, how'd it go with Rudolph, by the way? If I brainstorm, I just go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it. Like when I talk about like feeling my way through the story, I think that's really what I'm talking about. And Asa, I have to say, I while I was writing my story that is not finished yet, I had in my head yesterday for Horror Story Club, we read an award-winning like story of the year story. There's a long, long trail of winding by Russell Kirk. And the imposter syndrome was bad while I was writing this story.
Really?
I was like, this isn't as good as the 1977 award-winning short story of the year. Well, and it's like, yeah, Sarah,
right.
Obviously, this is a first draft, at that. So,
right.
I mean, yeah, but
I've been talking about this a little bit on some of my other videos. I really want to try to copy short stories, like word for word, transcribe them as an exercise. That's cropped up a couple times for me as like a kind of interesting exercise to learn. And I think I'm going to do that this coming week a little bit.
I think that's
Moira.
a great idea.
Moira Richardson says, this has been very fun. I found one of your previous streams, and this is the first live one I've caught. I bought both of the books, and we'll catch up on reading for those. Welcome.
Yay.
Welcome, Moira. We're so glad to have you.
And should we say what we're reading?
That's a good idea.
If you are interested in catching up. So on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be reading Mechanopolis by Miguel de Unamuno. Is that how you would say that?
Go with it. We'll go with it.
All right. And then on Thursday, for Horror Story Club. Oh, hey, Mateo's here. We've got friends popping in. For Thursday for Horror Story Club, we are reading H.P. Lovecraft's The Call of Cthulhu, which several of you may have read before because it's very well known. So we're looking forward to discussing both of these with you next week.
Yeah, and over on the Discord or here, we also are open to bonus stories. I'm just gonna volunteer us without pre-talking to you about this, Sarah. If there's if there's a story that everyone really wants to get in on a discussion about, then contact us some way, somehow, and we can add that to the rotation. We're not solely wed to these collections, though we are committed to finishing them.
Yeah.
Mateo asked,
it's just a great starting space for us.
Yeah. It really is. It's exactly that. The writing was great, Mateo. Definitely go back and watch the insane Mad Lib Christmas horror prompts that are available.
They're so good.
We had a lot of fun.
They're so good. They're so good. Asa, you're so good.
Oh, Sarah, geez, thank you so much for spending the Friday afternoons together.
It's great. I love writing. This is fantastic. I hope everyone had fun. such a good thing to remember that I didn't have to write "There's a long, long trail to wind in" and win an award for it in order for this to be a meaningful and worthwhile experience. So I am very grateful for that.
I love
And I
that.
did
I
have
love
fun.
that. I love that that's the space that we're in. Just spending time with the grades and spending time with each other in the same week.
Yeah,
It's all the process.
it's all part of the soup.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday.
All right, looking forward to it. Bye for now, friends.